Hey guys, it's Courtney here from Rose Bloom, where we intentionally design our life and business with the cosmos. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about the Scorpio New Moon, which is happening on the night of October 14th, and it's going to be happening at 23 degrees of Scorpio. So, as always, I highly recommend pulling up your own birth chart and locating where 23 degrees of Scorpio is. For example, I know that I have Pluto at 23 degrees of Scorpio, so this moon is going to be exactly conjunct my natal Pluto, which is going to affect or change the way that this new moon changes me or affects me. So it's really helpful to know that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what we can expect from this new moon. First of all, I just wanted to say that this new moon is conjunct an asteroid called Juno. And Juno is a marriage asteroid, but it really represents our devotion to something. And devotion, I guess, past the point of sanity almost. Like you're so devoted to it that it doesn't necessarily matter if it's hurting you or helping you, you're in it. And so I feel like this energy already with Scorpio, which is a very ambitious sign, combined with Juno, is telling us to give ourselves fully over to our ambitions or our dreams or our goals. So, whatever it is in your life that you have been wanting to make progress with and haven't necessarily made that progress lately, this is your chance. Mars is just now moving direct, and the day after it moves direct, we have this new moon coming in and saying, this is a time to plant the seed of intention of the actions that you want to take to move forward to strive towards your goals. This new moon is going to be very, very positive. And just make sure that you stay tuned to your rising sign. And you can always find the links in the description. But I'll give you guys what that's going to look like specifically for you, and then, of course, the overall energy. So, as I was mentioning, this new moon is looking really, really positive, which is something that I feel like we have needed for a long time. Scorpio is inherently a more challenging sign. It requires more out of us. And so there are going to be some elements there where we're going to have to move through shadows and really believe in ourselves in order for that ambition to get us somewhere. So inherently that's kind of built into Scorpio. However, it's being really positively supported through the different angles that it's making to planets. First of all, it's making a sextile to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and the asteroid Pallas Athena. So all of these are really saying that it's going to be a wonderful time to start new projects, for new opportunities to start flowing. Whenever there is a sextile to Jupiter, is basically saying that all the benevolent energy of Jupiter is coming to lift you up and support you. On top of that, not only is it a good time to make connections, make opportunities happen, for changes to occur, it's also going to be supported by a strong work ethic with a sextile to Saturn, saying that if you put in the work, you will get something out of it and it will be rewarding for you. And then on top of that, with Pluto, with a sextile to Pluto, you're going to have more inner reserves. You're going to have that inner fire and passion in order to make these things happen. And it's really beautiful to have the support from Pluto, especially with a new moon in Scorpio, because Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio. So they have very similar energies. So they are working in harmony together, basically saying that you can absolutely achieve whatever your ambition desires if you just put in the time and the effort. And again, that's going to require you to undergo some deep inner transformation in order for that to occur, which means it's not going to necessarily be handed to us or be easy, but it's possible. And it's like this first seed of light that we're starting to receive after so many challenging things happening, after so many retrogrades. It's like finally that go ahead. On top of that, Jupiter is conjunct Pluto, or that just happened recently. So essentially what that means is that this is a strong manifestation energy. It can also sort of multiply the negative things in our life, and I've mentioned this time and time again. So it's going to be really important for you to focus your thoughts on positive things at this time. So direct your energy into things where it's actually going to bear fruit for you, where it's actually going to bring things into your life, instead of focusing on the things that are out of your control or the things that are negative that are happening in this world. And then it's making a sextile to Pallas Athena, which I think is really interesting, that there are two key feminine asteroids playing a role here. Juno, which is showing us to invest ourselves into what we're doing, mind, body, and soul. And then Pallas Athena is coming in here to support, saying that there is this inner warrior within us that can overcome all the obstacles. And we are being supported to show that inner warrior and to use that within our work. So if you feel like you're coming up against obstacles, you can pull on that Pallas Athena energy to then support you and help you throughout this process. On top of this, it's making a trine to Neptune. So I do feel like there is a deeper spiritual backing behind what we're doing. The universe is giving us the green light, the go ahead, saying, we support you. We want you to be working on this right now. And so this trine is a really beautiful thing. At the same time, sometimes trines to Neptune can make us feel like a little bit lazier, but I feel like with all the other energy, it's more of a spiritual aspect rather than, an aspect of laziness. So I would say take the time to meditate, take the time to ground yourself and ensure that the action that you are moving forward with is something that feels spiritually aligned, because I don't think you will actually be able to last throughout all the challenges unless you are spiritually aligned with that path. So it has to have like a deeper, more purposeful why for you in order for this to really bear fruit 6 months from now when we have the full moon in Scorpio. So those are the aspects that are happening specifically to the Scorpio moon. And now I'm just going to talk about what else is going on in the sky that is not interacting necessarily with the moon. So we have a tense angle, a square between Venus and Jupiter, Venus and Saturn, Venus and Pluto, and Venus and Pallas Athena. So basically all that positive energy that was just supporting us, it's still making a tense angle with Venus. And what that means is that the area around money and relationships can feel quite tense at this time. There might still be some unresolved issues, some things that need to have tension in order for you to take action to resolve them. On top of that, what I really think about with Venus is our perspective about the beauty in life and feeling really optimistic, feeling really loved, feeling really supported. And while I do think that this moon is supporting us, I also think that we won't necessarily feel like this light and fluffy feeling around this this new moon. And I think that's a given, knowing what's going on in the world around us at this time. So that also could be the possibility coming in with this square to Venus, is that yes, we're making action. Yes, we are taking action. Yes, we are making progress, but it's not necessarily going to feel as light and easy as we want it to already. The other aspect of this, if we take it kind of bit by bit and look at each square, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend because you want to look at the whole picture, but some of these keywords can kind of fit together to create a whole picture. So I'm going to break it down for you anyway. So when we have a Venus squared to Jupiter, this can often represent, again, like this like laziness, because Venus is us enjoying things in our life, and so is Jupiter. And so when these are making a conversation with each other, we don't necessarily always have like the stamina to desire hard work to make things happen. So that's a possibility that we might have to overcome. We've had this like months of stagnation with Mars retrograde that we might have to like kick things into high gear, but we've already kind of developed this habit of taking things a little bit easier or doing things a little bit slower and things not progressing. So that shift into a different gear might jolt us a little bit, and this square might be challenging us in that way to make that shift or make that progress. Venus making a square to Saturn can make us feel less harmonious within our relationships. So it can make us feel disheartened about the people in our lives. It can make us feel lonely or like we are further distanced from those that we love. And I think that makes a lot of sense given what's happening with the election. I think a lot of people are celebrating and a lot of people are saddened by that. And so there is this discord that is happening already. So that Venus square Saturn makes a lot of sense. However, this energy obviously will be moving quickly past. It's not going to be hanging out there forever. And then Venus square Pluto, this can bring some toxicity coming up through relationships. And I feel like this is going to be more so in global relationships, like in politics, how people are fighting back. There can be manipulation, there can be scandals, and that is really where like the Venus square Pluto, I think, will come into play. So I think as a global or as a collective, community, we will experience these energies in that type of way, where there's going to be still tenseness going on in relationships with people, still manipulation and power issues related to economics and related to politics. Those things have always been existing, but I think they will be more so at the forefront during this new moon as well. But still, besides all that, we're still going to be making personal progress and even, collective progress towards being more evolved and towards going after our dreams. So the last point that I want to talk about before I get into each of the signs is Mercury is making a quincunx to Chiron and is opposing Uranus. So Mercury has been opposing Uranus for a while now. And whenever it's opposing Uranus, it's giving us surprising news or brand new ideas, breakthroughs. It's like the genius strike. But again, it can also be surprising news, unexpected things, or I guess like a way of viewing things or new insights that come in that kind of jolt you. And because it's making such a harsh angle to Chiron, there's this news or this insight is coming in order to help us heal. But I think instead of helping us heal, it's going to feel quite painful. So maybe this is something that will have to come to a resolution at a later point in time. But I feel like right now, whatever news starts to come in around this new moon is not going to be, is going to be painful for some people, if not all people. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure what's going to come to fruition, but there can be choice words with people that you love, or there could be news that comes in regards to politics or the environment or the economy. I feel like something is going to be happening at that time that's going to feel quite painful or uncomfortable. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about where that might fall in your own personal chart. Okay, so up next we have Pisces, and this new moon in Scorpio is taking place in your 9th house. So your 9th house is really about self-exploration and self-discovery. So when I think about the 9th house, I think about somebody learning, teaching, traveling abroad. And these are really all things where you are understanding yourself more. You are learning about life, about the world, about yourself through these activities. And so you're having a new beginning in that area of your life. So if you've been feeling called to something, then I highly suggest that you follow down that path. And this new moon is making a sextile to Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in your 11th house. So what this is saying is that you are being supported through your goals, through your friendships, or through your community to pursue these new endeavors. So it's also interesting though, because you're having Venus and Libra in the 8th house make a square to these planets in the 11th house. So while your friends might be supporting you on these new endeavors, they also might not quite be a match anymore with you and your level of consciousness. And just bear with me, because it doesn't have to be friends. It could be also, like I said, your goals and your wishes for the future and your community at large. So it doesn't have to be friends. But because Venus is in Libra, I think it's really highlighting something here to do with relationships. So while your friends might be supporting you, like I said, to study these new things, teach or travel or explore these new aspects of yourself, I think that you have done a lot of the work in regards to some of your shadows, or at least it's been something that you are working on. You have Venus moving through the 8th. It's basically been calling your attention to address some of those areas of shadows within your relationships. So there, you might notice, as you've been working on that, with this square to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto in the 11th, that there are aspects of your relationships that are not working. There are aspects that are still in shadow or that are not balanced. And so I feel like this square is calling to your attention in order for you to address it, to fix it. because squares create tension in order for us to make changes, to create better results in our lives. So I do feel like your relationships are supportive of your path and of this self-exploration, but in some ways they aren't quite meeting you where you are energetically. Like they might say, yeah, good for you, like go for it, but they aren't necessarily showing up and doing that work as well. And this might only be with some people, or this might even just be with your general aspirations. So maybe what you've been dreaming about or striving for isn't actually what is in line with your highest potential and highest future. And so maybe those things need adjustments. But again, I do feel like this is really about relationships here. So going back, having the new moon in the 9th house, this is going to allow you to explore new aspects of yourself so that you can eventually discover the thing that feels super aligned, that makes you tick. So this is very important because you guys have been having Neptune, your ruling planet, move through your 1st house for a while. Neptune is retrograde. And Neptune on its own can already create a sense of haziness or misunderstanding around issues. And retrograde makes that way more intense. And since it's moving through your 1st house, it's almost like it's bringing a haziness or a cloud over your identity, your purpose in the world, your place in the world, the way that you're meant to show up. So the universe very specifically has chosen for you at this moment in time to not have total clarity about the way that you're meant to move forward. It's kind of like hiking and having a fog and just hiking anyway, trusting that you will find each step as you go. And so there is an element about your identity that is in the clouds. And this new moon in the 9th house in Scorpio is asking you to go deep and to explore the things that feel very exciting for you. And because it's in Scorpio, it could even be things that are eccentric or occult or taboo, things that people don't normally do or think about. And this is actually, since this new moon is making a trine to Neptune in your 1st house, it's basically saying that as you begin to explore these new avenues, learning, teaching, traveling, anything that interests you, starting any new projects, those things are going to then support your new discoveries about your place in the world, about your identity, who you are, and your power. And so I think that these are really beautiful energies working together. And I think it's important to know that our purpose is never a destination. And I think the problem is that a lot of people think, okay, it's a destination and I can think my way to it. They think I can plan this all out and see if it's going to work before I do it, so I don't have to fail or whatever. But actually, to get to any place where you feel purposeful, you have to make lots of mistakes along the way. You have to choose lots of different paths and experiment with lots of different things and refine those things over time to find the thing that works best for you. It's never something that comes prepackaged. It's something that you have to discover, and you have to discover your purpose by discovering yourself, your likes and your dislikes. And the only way to do that is to try new things. And that's what I feel like this new moon in 9th house is saying is these next 6 months for you are about exploring, about trying things, about having fun. And it's going to ultimately be supported by your friendships and your community. It's going to support your hopes and wishes for the future, and it's going to support you becoming your fullest potential. You guys also have Mercury in the 9th house making an opposition to Uranus in the 3rd house. This is going to bring those new insights. Mercury has been previously to this retrograde and in Libra. Now it's in Scorpio and it's direct. Retrograde Libra Mercury brings a lack of clarity. So it can make us kind of feel like we just don't have all the answers yet. So now that it's direct in the 9th house in Scorpio, making an opposition to Uranus, I feel like this is saying, okay, we're going to start giving you these ideas about how to move forward. However, even though you got new insights, it's also making a quincunx Chiron in the second house. So these new insights could also lead to kind of like painful realizations about your money situation, your sense of security, or even your like self-worth and the way that you like speak to yourself. So for example, let's say I wanted to study something new. Maybe the course or whatever would be shot down in like a lightning bolt into my brain, and I'm like, yes, I finally have clarity, I'm gonna do this new thing. But then I have to pay for it. And maybe that could be the quincunx with Chiron in the second, where it's like, oh fuck, now I have to pay for this $2,000 course. How am I gonna afford this right now? So that could be one of those situations. Or if you decide you want to teach something, it could be you finally stepping into a new and different role, and then having this moment of self-doubt, like, I don't know if I can do this. So just know, be aware that that's possible energy that you could experience. But whatever is coming up right now that you feel excited about from your heart, about exploring, you are meant to explore that. So absolutely go for it. This is your time to have fun and to be more optimistic about your future. This is a very, very positive new moon, and I love what it's doing for you guys. So if this resonates, please comment down below, and thank you guys so much for staying tuned. Bye.